there, sports fans. This is Nathan with another episode of the Salty Sports Podcast. Hope you enjoy. All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Dillon Upperman. Dillon is new to travel ball. This is second year coaching, so I thought it'd be good for us to listen to and hear a perspective of someone who's new to the game, and also just maybe a fresh perspective on what he learned his first couple years. A lot of guys are in his boat, so thought it'd be a nice way to start things. But it's good to have you, Dillon.
I'm glad you asked me to be on here. So
Yeah.
show the world what I know. So
All right. Yeah. All right. We got the salty quick pitch. These are a series of questions. Just give me your first. Give me your quick answers. But all right. Favorite baseball team.
uh, Detroit Tigers.
All right. Favorite player.
If we go all time, it's Bryce Harper, but like Riley Green from the Detroit Tigers.
Okay. All right. Favorite hobby outside of baseball.
Definitely golfing or playing video games.
Okay. Gotcha. Favorite movie.
Uh, I I really don't watch movies, but Hustle by Adam Sandler or Coach Carter, which are two basketball movies.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite TV show or series.
Uh, w- Probably Hell's Kitchen, or I
Mm.
mean, I really don't watch TV shows, but sports. I mean, I'm a huge sports buff,
Yeah, I like
sports
Hell's
nerd.
Kitchen too. And that's a really random one to like, but yeah, it's a good show.
Oh yeah.
All right, favorite music artist or band.
There's a whole plethora. Right. I mean, I listen to anything and everything. I mean, gosh, I'll just say all genres really. I don't really have an all-time favorite artist.
All right,
I did
well,
go see Creeder though.
oh yeah,
They
yeah.
were good.
Favorite song.
Kind of same thing. I don't know if I think back to like when I played. Walk-up song that I used was "Ball Diddy" or however you pronounce it by Kid Rock.
That ball with the ball, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I got you.
It hypes me up. I don't know what it was to it.
There you go. All right. Ideal vacation spot.
I would always say the beach, but in college we went to Colorado, and so I like to snowboard. So
Yeah.
either it just depends on the crowd I'm going with. So either going to the mountains or going to the beach.
Yeah, good. You an early bird or a night owl?
No, definitely not though.
Okay. All right. What high school did you go to?
I went to Benton High School.
Did you play baseball there?
Yes,
All right. What about college you go to?
I went to Arkansas Tech.
Did you play Arkansas Tech?
Nope, I tried.
Okay. Favorite baseball memory.
Man, there's a lot. So like the one that struck out the most to me when you said that, uh, it's probably my like when I was 12 years old, 13 years old. I don't even know how old I was. We were in Sheridan, and I was playing left field. And like when athletes just make the play like without even thinking. I was
Yeah.
in left field, ball was hit in like the alleyway right in the corner, and had my back to home plate, made like a Willie Mays style catch. I think that was probably one of my best memories.
No man, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. All right. Best advice to young athletes or coaches.
Man, like, so I'm young, and I don't know, just like, just keep being engaged in the game, whether that's, for players or coaches. Like the biggest thing is like don't fall out of engagement and like, you know, soak it up because like I wish I could go back and play like everyone else that played, whatever sport, baseball, whatever. Uh, I just want to go back and play just one more at bat, one
Mm,
more pitch, and that's like the biggest thing. And then,
yeah.
just consistency and practice. If you want to be good, you got to practice.
Yeah. What's the last book you read?
I'm not a big bookworm. I'm more podcast. So,
Okay. Well, how about last podcast you listened to?
the More Plates, More Dates by Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan. I like listening to his podcast.
Those are pretty long. I don't know if we'll ever get to that length of podcast, but
Yeah, they're good though. If you can sit down and just waste 3 hours, they're good to listen to.
yeah. I like podcasts when I got to do something with my hands and I'm kind of mindless doing something. I like to listen to podcasts.
Oh yeah.
All right. Favorite quote.
So like I don't know, just like one of the best life quotes, life, sports, whatever. time's fast. We live in an age where everything's fast and we're on the go. And like not a lot of people just think about like stopping and smelling the roses. That was like one of my dad's quotes growing up. He would always tell me that because we live in a fast time. Everything's
Yeah.
quick. Take time, relax, breathe. And then I don't know, just, when I'm coaching, the biggest thing, practice like you play. That's one of
Hmm.
the biggest things. But if you want to practice bad, then you're probably more than likely going to play bad. If you practice sloppy, you play sloppy.
Yeah. What about favorite drill?
Oh, well, there's so many out there, but like one of the ones that I find, and like I put myself into the shoes of like my clients or my players, is like definitely doing anything broken down. So like swinging to contact, swinging in, one hand drills. I love doing one hand drills. Those are,
Yeah.
I feel like one hand drills, you can get a lot done with that.
Yeah. All right. Favorite resource.
The favorite resource, I mean, anything online like YouTube videos, Instagram
Hmm.
videos. There's so much out there. I mean, if you want to be better at something, all you have to do is a quick Google search, and then like I don't know, like still part of me. So like I'm young, but like at the same time, I'm not afraid to ask a question, and that was like the
Yeah.
biggest thing growing up. A question that isn't asked is a dumb question.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask a question. So like. I come to you for advice a lot, or like even some of the coaches, when I'm on the field, like playing, where we're playing against, I'll ask them, hey, like, what do y'all do? What do you do about this? I mean, I love asking, like, I guess you would call it like firsthand resources, just face to face talking to people.
Yeah. That's good. Thing you used to believe, but now you know it's wrong.
Oh wow. So we've talked about this one. So in baseball it's not squishing the bug no more, but
Yeah.
growing up, that's all you heard, drive
Hmm.
drive your back foot, turn that ankle, squish the bug.
Yeah.
And now it's the new thing of driving the knee, using your hips, getting a good coil, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. What's something you believe that others think is crazy?
Man, so like I don't know if this would like qualify, but like consistency. If you want to take that from any aspect, whether it be playing or just being better at whatever you want to do, if you're not consistent at it and you can't find the time to be established and wanting to do something to better yourself in that aspect, then like I don't know how would ever get better.
Hmm.
And then like integrity. I don't know. That's a word I very seldom hear now, but like just do the right thing when nobody's looking because you always got people watching
Yeah.
without you knowing.
It's good. Good example to set too. All right. Last few are just word associations. I'm gonna give you a few words, then you give me a few words, maybe one word, hopefully. All right. Rec
Oh,
baseball.
uh, rec baseball would be fundamental,
Okay. Volunteer coaches.
essential,
Travel ball.
competitive,
Practices.
hard,
Old school
like
versus new school.
new school.
Okay. Technology.
It's very useful,
Useful. Gotcha. Dad coaches.
controversial.
Oh, okay. All right. These things you've mentioned. First off, Detroit Tigers. What you don't? You're not from Detroit, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not from Detroit.
How in the world do you pick the Tigers of all the teams in the major leagues?
Man, it comes like a time when, you like your dad's team growing up. So like my dad's team, he was at Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
And being from the place we are, Cliff Lee's from here, so he liked the Phillies. So I liked the Phillies growing up for a while. And then, I believe it was 2012 is when I started liking the Tigers when they had Ian Kinsler,
Mm.
Miguel Cabrera. They just had the that huge run. And granted, to say, hey, we had a good run in the world or the playoffs, not the World Series, but
Yeah.
you know, there's a big key thing that I would like to mention later in the podcast about that. Just to throw it out there. But yeah, so that's really, I'm a Detroit fan.
All right. You mentioned also like one of your favorite resources is YouTube, and man, that's one thing we didn't have growing up. We didn't have. If I have a question, like I just had a question forever. But now there's 20 YouTube videos on that. Maybe 20 is a little generous. Like there's probably 200 videos on that subject.
When there's things like that, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it like ignorant, but like if you want to be better and like you don't know how to ask the question or anything like that, just what you were saying, instead of holding on to it nowadays, you just type it in and figure out the solution or, anything from there.
Yeah, and we're living an exciting time where AI is just taking over everything, and who
It's
knows what's
scary,
going to
but I
happen.
love it.
Yeah,
It's scary.
I think one thing with YouTube videos is, you watch one, you become an expert. You watch two, you become confused. You
Yeah.
got to watch like 9 or 10 to have a good grasp, of even the argument, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, all right. Your word association. You said practices were hard. We're gonna talk
So
about practices in a minute, but what do you mean by that?
So like I don't know. I said hard, but like uh, thinking back to my playing days, like some of the practice, like especially like new tasks or like new aspects of the game got cut like taught, it makes it hard. But what I meant by that, just kind of like what I was saying earlier with the quote, like, practice hard because you want to play
Mm,
hard. So if you give it 100% in practice, when coach asks you, hey, we need that practice effort. Well, if you gave 50% in practice, and well, what are you going to do in the game?
right.
So
Yeah,
just like practice hard.
I see. Um, said dad coach is controversial.
Yeah. So, we've talked about this off the record and stuff, but like the way I feel about it, they tie it in with the volunteer coaches. They are essential. Most
Hmm.
majority of volunteer coaches are dads, but at times those dads have to figure out and understand, like, hey, I gave you the opportunity or like the blessing, whatever word you want to use there, to coach my kid to get them better on and off the field because, I believe baseball teaches you more than just a game.
Hmm.
But take it back to the aspect of, I granted you, whatever, little Johnny to play on the team or little Joe. Now, my goal as a coach is for you parents to step back and let me run practice, coach a game, and not interfere necessarily. And then, like, if we talk about um, dad coaches coaching in general, you really don't see it as much. I feel like in travel ball, or like maybe I'm just not, I don't know, accustomed to it to point it out, but like favoritism. Growing up, I played. Travel ball really didn't take off until I was like 10 or 11. I feel like that's
Hmm.
when I got on my first one. But playing rec ball, I mean, there was daddy ball. Nobody likes daddy ball. So,
Yeah, and honestly, in my experience, I've had dad coaches who've been great. I've had dad coaches who were lacking. I've had paid coaches who were awful. I've had paid coaches who were good. It's hard to treat your kid like he's just some other kid.
oh yeah.
So it's almost it's hard to regulate that. I mean, how would you?
Yeah,
You
I
could
see
do.
it, and that's something I don't understand because, like, if I, when I coach, I tell the parents, I'm like, your kids are on my team for a reason. I don't have kids of my own, but your kids are my kids. Whether it's a Saturday, a whole Sunday, we're at the ball field together, practice. I treat every one of them the same exact way. I don't play favoritism. Even if there is a better one on the team or a worse one on the team, everyone gets treated the same.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like I think non-dad coaches could say that. I think you need to answer that question when I've coached my kids. You have to ask the other parents. I've got four boys. Two of mine I remember batting first in the lineup pretty consistently, and the other two batted close to the bottom of the lineup. And I feel like I was fair. That was the fairest thing to do with all of them, but you have to ask other parents what they thought. But anyway, we can move on from that. But that's a good discussion. So, what made you want to go into coaching baseball?
Man, so what let's see here. I played baseball for 18 years, so my life and still counting now. Uh,
Yeah.
but I went to college and I got a Arkansas Tech, and I got a degree in kinesiology, and that's the study of the body in motion. And I just, I don't know how to word it. Like I want to use the degree, but I tried out my internship, and throughout my internship, it was a great place. Good opportunity, and of course I had to take it to graduate. But like I came to like realize you know training clients like older people is not what I like.
Mhm.
Growing up, I also umpired, and I like just the enjoyment of youth sports. That's just something that really fueled me, I guess. So once I moved back here after college, I wasn't doing much, and I was like, man, I have so much free time. So gratefully, I texted you, I believe, on Instagram, and you said, "Hey, I
Yeah.
got an opportunity for you." So, we never looked back since.
Yeah.
I've had fun doing it. It's blessing, but like really, just to tie it back into the question, like I don't know, just it when you say it, people frown their face or like give you a sour look, but like I want to feel I want to feel the play as if I did it. Like I want to feel the rush or like how I
Mhm.
used to, like how you live it out through your kids as a
Yeah.
parent. I don't know. I just wanted that feeling again, and so that's I have some of the most fun at the ball fields on Saturdays and Sundays.
Mhm.
While I could be doing other stuff, but I love it, man.
Yeah. That's good. Well, do you have a coaching philosophy yet?
I I'm so like new to it.
Yeah.
I really don't know about a philosophy, but
What about
like
just an overarching goal in coaching or a
overarching
plan?
goal. So what I tell all my parents, so I'm a coach that believes like when I played travel ball, I played on the same one team. I didn't bounce around from place to place because we lost
Hmm.
or I didn't like the coach. It was like I believe in chemistry. So like my goal is to take the same group of kids that want to be coached by me as far as they will let me. And the goal is, we're in travel ball right now. I know some high schools, I don't know about in this region, but if they move out, they start like junior high ball. I know here starts in ninth grade. So making the high school team, and then hopefully from there, if they came to me from my team to get lessons done, hopefully get them into college, and then college can let them do whatever. So
Yeah.
just I guess advancement is the biggest thing. And like
Mm.
if you don't learn anything from me as a coach, at least have one good takeaway.
Yeah. Well, you've got a young team. Like, how do you keep practices engaging and fun for young athletes, especially, considering short attention spans with those younger kids?
Man, so I'll put myself in their shoes. Like I think about their age and like when I was at their age, I don't want to be standing around. So
Mm.
like, tie it back into the word association, volunteer coaches or just help. I run multiple stations. There's three coaches, but there could be, Tom hitting fly balls in the outfield and we're just doing rotational work, like moving around station by station. And baseball is a slow sport, as many people don't like it for that reason. But there's sometimes at practice, like as a coach, you just have to tell the kids, like, hey, I know this is boring, but you've got to be able to move and be fluid on the ball field as a team. So like, throwing them all out there at once and actually having to show them, like, hey, this is what we got to do. Move your feet and stuff like that. So like to answer that, just multiple stations, and then like to kind of not answer it was what I was saying, like the just putting them out there game time scenario, actually having to tell them to focus up, do this, do that. So
Yeah, I think the hardest jump in that regard is from 8 to 9. The 8 with a coach pitch kind of set up. That's just like a slow pitch softball game,
yeah,
but there's a lot of offense, a lot of action going on pretty much every play. At
it's
9,
fun.
it gets a little more difficult because there may not be a ball hit for 5 to 10 minutes, and it can be that's where the hard part is. Hey, let's stay engaged. Um, I'll play right field and hadn't had a ball hit to me all game, and all of a sudden the biggest part of the game, I've got to make a play. That's hard for this age group. Hard for anybody,
Oh
but
yeah.
especially this age group.
Oh yeah.
So let me just ask you, what does a good practice look like to you? I know you said people not standing around, but what does a good practice look like to you? If you were putting your kid on a team, what would you want the coach to do in his practices?
Man, so for one, I trusted the coach enough because he's knowledgeable. Giving the knowledge that he knows to the players, whether that's doing multiple drills, doing a quick little seminar on like, hey, this is what game time scenario, ball hit to left field. What do you do, second base, stuff like that. So showing, I want that coach to show, my future kid like what is all the possibilities that can be done in the game. And then like actually like visualizing a practice, like, not just standing around wasting time. That's the biggest thing. You know, great effort.
Hmm.
I want the coach to establish like, hey, I mentioned that movie Hustle. Hustle's a big word to me. When we played, probably same for you. Uh, Hustle on and off the field. That's the biggest thing
Hmm.
because it's an unwritten rule in baseball, and uh, so just hustle, good effort.
Yeah,
Keep attitudes, stuff like that. Just make the practice fun too. So that's one of the biggest things to figure out as a new coach is how to make practice fun.
yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. What's been the best thing you've learned in terms of practice planning?
Practice planning, definitely. So through college, this helped me out a little bit, but just knowing the way people learn, because there's some players I'll have to tell like four different ways how to do this, or I actually have to put that kid in that said scenario for them to learn. Just like, breaking it down, explaining it to them multiple ways. That's one of the biggest things. The four ways people can learn, the visual, auditorial, tactitional,
Hmm.
and yeah, whatever the other one is. I think it's only three, not four.
Okay.
But anyways, so that's one of the biggest things as a coach. There's multiple ways to get your point across, and don't just like get mad at a kid because he's not understanding it.
Yeah. So, like going into practice planning, I know it's probably different for everybody. I mentioned on my last podcast, man, there's a guy I read about in high school coach of Huntington Beach, California, who says it takes him 90 minutes to 2 hours every day to plan his practices.
Ooh, wow.
It's like one of those things when you're a guitar player, then you go watch somebody who like is an expert at it, and you're like, why even try? Why am I
Yeah,
even doing this? So, um, for me, I mean, I'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes, and,
likewise.
and that's probably, from what I've seen, the 90th percentile of what coaches are doing. But so what goes into your practice planning?
Man, so I'm gonna touch it back to the degree I have. So that's one of the things through all the courses we had to take, counting reps. So I think about like, if I have three kids, I break them up into groups. I have, three kids in one group, and I at least want them to go through it like 20 times, 30 times. I take that down, and I'm big on time management, but I'll be honest, I kind of suck at executing it. But so I think about it that way. Like I think of the reps of how many times the kids should go through the drill, break it down, and then kind of build it like a workout routine, if that almost makes sense. Like I said, I believe in like station work, so just keep them on a constantly moving, flowing through the practice.
Yeah, good. Well, what's the most challenging thing you've had to deal with in your, I guess, young coaching career?
Oh man, so parents. That's one of the biggest things. Like so the first, I mean, I'll be honest, the first fall I coached, I almost didn't want to come back, and I'll be honest, and it was because of the parents, because it was like almost to the point with some of the parents that out there in this world. Like I'm a human, and just because I have the coach title to my name doesn't mean you can just come. Like you can come up and talk to me. I'm not
Yeah.
a brick wall. I'm not going to rip your head off. I'm a
Hmm.
human. Come up, have a conversation, and talk through it. So like the engagement with parents is like one of the biggest learning curves I've had to do as a coach, not including the players, you know, which I always tell the parents like, hey, you know, I love to talk, come up, talk to me about anything. I have the same rule as many coaches do, you only talk to them about your kid. I'm not going to talk about anyone else's kid.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just parents. That's one of the biggest things. Like as a young coach, I mean, heck, I'm I just graduated college, and I was just like, you know, coming in the freshman coming into high school, and you call them the fresh meat. So
Yeah. Well, and I'll say that it is a disadvantage for you. And some of these parents are really worried and like over worried, to be honest. They're over worried about their kids. Man, our 10-year-old team, I've had two times I've had a 10-year-old team, and like half the team is wanting to leave because they're so worried about the high school, making the high school team. And you just want to
yeah,
shake your head like, man, these kids aren't shaving yet. Like they don't even know if they like this play high
yeah,
school. And
oh yeah,
we've got to leave and jockey and try way into a onto a high school baseball team when they're 10, and like, man, it's not that serious yet. It doesn't need to be that serious. But I'm kind of getting off point. But yeah, I understand where um, parents being real difficult for someone in your boat. And
oh yeah,
I think just with
and
you starting off is like, uh, I think it's given there's a little bit of hesitancy there on your end. Like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? And parents sniff that out and will attack.
oh yeah, and like that's just what resource wise. Draw it back into the quick pitch. I come to you with a lot of things because you've been around it long enough and you've seen things. So I don't know. That just kind
Yeah,
of keeps me as a coach level because, like, let's say, I had little Zach out there and I had to pull him mid inning and I didn't play him the second game, and then I'm like, oh crap, I made a bad decision doing that, and I ask you, what did you do? Just little things like that.
yeah.
That was just kind of a little example. Not saying I've ever done that, but
Yeah, and I
uh,
I know as we've talked, I remember things you came to me as like, dude, that's not. You're worried about over this, and like they've already forgot it happened. Like, this is not a big deal. Then sometimes you come to us and says, yeah, you screwed up, but it's
yeah,
okay. We can fix it,
yeah.
and or that is a big deal. Glad like that, but yeah, um,
And I
I
thought of another one too.
yeah,
So like growing up, I played, all sports, but at the time, travel ball just wasn't as big as it is now when I was, growing up as a kid. And
hmm
I played a lot of sports, but, another hard thing to understand as a coach is the aspect of what sport is in. Now, I'm all for kids being multi-sport, especially at a younger age. It's going to teach them more about their body and how they can actually develop faster, in my opinion, you know. But that's one of the biggest like struggles as a coach is trying to get a whole team at practice during the fall winter seasons
hmm
because baseball is a spring sport.
yeah, and, man, it'll really tear up your practice planning
Yes, it
plans,
will.
and the two shortstop aren't there that night, and you're going to work on second base picks or something. Totally messes everything up. So yeah, I definitely get that. And I've always had especially younger ages, fall practices are optional because you got football and you got kids, doing basketball and stuff. But I say once January 1st hits, like you need to be at practice if at all possible. I'm not
I
saying skip
agree.
your basketball game to come to it, but like we need to start prepping and need to be there. Um, so what do you wish parents understood about youth coaches?
But parents like sometimes have to understand like kind of like I've already touched on it a little bit. So like in the same instance, like yes, it's your kid, but for the hour I have them at practice or the Saturday that we play the games, you know, let that time be between the coach and the kids. When they are in between the lines, you can hoot and holler and, cheer on the team.
hmm
But, if I like simply reposition a kid in the outfield, don't tell them to reposition based on what you think. That's one of the biggest like pet
Yeah.
peeves of mine as a coach. But like that's one of the things because like some of the parents, I don't think they realize like you touched on it too. Like that's my kid. Uh, but like I probably have, I like speaking for me. I have experience. I've played the game. I've seen a lot of things. I say I'm not a veteran, of course, or anything like that by nature, but I've been around the block. I've played the game.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed the game, and I've learned. So like, let me coach the kids.
Yeah, and I think as you get more and more experience, like your confidence goes up, and also the parents' confidence in you goes up. I mean, they're repositioning because maybe they're not as confident that that's where it needs to be or whatever. But like as you make those decisions and you're right, uh, they're gonna say, you know what, I need to shut my mouth, and it may take some years for that, seasons for that, for some parents to get it, and some won't ever, and some. I mean, you know this. You've got a guy on your team who knows more about baseball than me and you combined.
Oh yeah,
So,
he's probably
and
forgot more than
yeah,
he can even remember.
and he's quieter than most of the parents, right?
Yes, yes, he is.
So, I mean, you can if he wants to say something, you'd be like, "Hey, what'd you see there?" But yeah, I understand that one as well. Um, so like, let's just what goes into your decision when making a batting lineup?
Man, so when it going through making a bat lineup, there's like the stereotype. So like if you look on Google or whatever, lead off is supposed to be somebody that can get on base and is fast. Second hole hitter is going to be someone that has a good bat and can be able to move the runner into scoring position.
Okay.
And then after the three hole, should do the same. It should get an advancement, has a little power with contact in his bat. Uh, as my assistant coach likes to say, that's your best hitter is your three hole hitter. Uh, so, I mean, I really don't agree with that necessarily. And that's where we kind of clash heads
Yeah.
sometimes. Uh, and then like, four hole, that's your, the most power on your team, the dude that's supposed to go like 420 every single time.
Yeah.
And then it just recycles after that kind of. But yeah, that's, I brought that up because, as me, I'm a very thoughtful person. Like I like to see things through before I actually put pen to paper. And so like I'll ask my assistant coach Rylan and he'll help me out with the lineup. And then, one of the greatest things too, this and for all the younger coaches out there, if they ever get the opportunity, coach with your dad. That's one of the coolest things that you can do. He's played the game. He had the opportunity to go play at Henderson, but he declined it for a choir scholarship. And trust me, I've given him some pain about that. But yeah, so like I mean, just when it comes to making a lineup, I do base it on the stereotype, but also just like also judgment and like a big thing my dad believes in when we're also making the lineup. Who's hot, like
Yeah.
who is putting the ball in play, moving runners around.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to take my leadoff batter and put him at the bottom. And then also, and this could be a big coaching flaw, I might get some hate backlash from this,
Yeah.
but like attitude, attitude and effort is the biggest thing. That's what I want to teach every single kid. If you want to sit on the bench and cry, or if you want to, throw your glove, stuff like that, I might not even bat you. And B, if I do bat you, it might just be a little bit lower than what you're used to. That's just how I feel because that's the
Yeah.
same treatment that I got when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I've told you before, I like Bryce Harper because, a lot of people don't like him because he's a little hothead. And I hate to admit it, but, I co-aligned with him. So
Yeah.
I got my fair share of punishments back in the day.
Yeah. For the most part, man, I'm a slave to game changer. The reason is I don't notice things. I'm in the heat of the moment in the game, and like all I know is we have two guys on base, and I'm trying to give them a score, and I forgot how they got there. So like game changer helps me to go back and say, "Hey, I didn't know he was 3 for 4 this today." Now I know you can say, "Well, who's keeping the game changer and all that stuff?" Bottom line, he got on base, right? I mean, he's over there on first base, and so there may be a little errors on the scorekeeper's part about who's got that many hits, but I'm kind of a slave to it. And there's a few exceptions. So like one, my leadoff batter has to have a certain attitude. I really want him to be a tone setter, and so he can, if it's the right attitude, the right demeanor, he will bat one, and maybe he may not have the highest average. Um,
So I got a question for that.
yeah,
So we're talking leadoffs. So
mhm,
as a coach, would you rather see player batting in the leadoff position that will see, 3 to 4 to, three, let's say more than three pitches. Let's just say that,
yeah.
they works the pitcher, or do you want to see a leadoff batter that's gonna just come out of the gates, single, bunt, whatever, just gets
Mm.
on base.
That's a good question. Um, if I just had to answer it off the get go, I would say I want a tone setter.
Tone setter.
If he hits the first pitch and rips one at third baseman and gets out, I'm fine with that. If he goes up there and swings hard 3 times, um, I'm okay with that. I uh, I don't want someone up there who's going to swing soft 2 of his 3 swings. Like that's not what I want. I want someone up there who means business. He's intentional when he gets in the box. Like he's going to make a play. I'd love for him to have a lot of speed, but that's not. I mean, I'm not going to put a slow kid first. I want someone with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense. I
yeah.
think.
I think the other exception I make is like speed on the bases. Like you win games base running up
Oh
until
yes.
a long time.
Yeah.
But I would think I put my slower kids. My last slow hitter is if I have 3 kids are kind of the same and 2 of them are kind of slower. The faster kid will go above them, and then my 2 slow kids will be at the bottom of my good hitters because I don't want him clogging up the bases. Like let's say
Yeah.
my best hitter is really slow. He should be batting our third hole to driving in like the typical stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
But if I've got 2 kids that are almost as good as him, I don't want him walking and now I've got 2 fast kids who can't get around him, who there's pass balls and he can't get to third base.
Yeah.
And
Makes a lot of sense.
so those are my only 2 exceptions. But for the most, and like it keeps you honest as a coach. Like someone said, why
Yeah.
batting so low? Because I look at these numbers and they're not very high.
I mean,
But
stats don't lie.
I'll make you a deal. You make those numbers go higher, I'll put you in the batting lineup
Oh
higher.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know, sometimes you can know as a kid's hitting hard and just having bad luck. But for the most part, the numbers are going to tell you what you need to know. And really, I say this too: the batting lineup is not based on how good of a hitter you are. The batting lineup is based on how good the coach thinks you are, or how good you're going to do this game. It's the coach's confidence in you more than how good you are. So,
Never heard it that way, but
yeah,
I definitely could see that.
yeah. All right. Well, next question: what drills have you beneficial? You mentioned the one-handed drill and those batting drills. Any fielding drills or anything?
Man, so one of the drills, I think I don't want to say it wrong, but I'm just going to call it what we call it at Salty, which is the Dirty 30.
Oh yeah.
You showed me that a while. Is it called like Aussies from Aussie Albies on the Atlanta Braves, or is that a
Um,
totally different drill?
what the Dirty 30?
Yeah, the Dirty 30.
Well, okay. So I have to admit that. So I made those for my kids back when it was probably 10 years ago. We would be in the living room, and this is back when they were 4 and 5, and I would say Dirty 30. So we'd do 5 alligators, 5 backhand, 5 forehand, 5 short hops, and I forgot what we did. We did 30 of them, and um, I just always had my team to do it. And I guess it's stuck with you apparently, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it's a good. I mean, so I did listen to the podcast before this that he was mentioning glove work. Glove work can make or break a player, in my opinion. If you can't use the leather, then how are you going to make the out? That's one of my biggest things. Like you can make a play all day, but if you can't have good transition work or if you can't control the path of your glove getting to the ball, I mean
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be spectacular, but it needs to be, get me an out. But let's get familiarized with my glove, I guess is the best way to say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and another good drill that I love doing, especially, Grainer under you at Salty, and I've done it on the field too, is a cone drill. That's another thing, like it's tiring. You set up a cone and you start from the right side going to the left side. Intensity. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't know what a good word, I found the drill online. So whoever made the drill, thank you. But intensity. Get low, stay low, because it teaches you footwork for sure. Kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. How are you going to make a play if your feet aren't under you? So
Yeah.
keep your feet under you, make a good routine play. Boom. Now
Yeah.
we got an out.
Well, all right, let's ask this. If you had $100 this year, say parents listen, Christmas coming up, buy one piece of equipment for your son for as a to use at home for a drill or whatever, what should he buy? How would you spend that $100?
$100 on equipment. Um, you know, let's see here. Man, this one puzzled me thinking about it
I guess
now.
you can go more. Let's
Let's
go
say
$500.
500. I mean, definitely. So, I mean, I'm a big believer in consistency. Like, let's say, we had nothing. Just say like a batting cage, just batting cage balls and a tee. Because not only, you can keep developing. I think a batting cage is over budget. So let's just say a pop-up net, you know,
Yeah.
just a tee, if they need a bat and some balls and a pop-up net. Because um, Rome wasn't built in a day. We have to chisel away and figure out if, for one, we love baseball. If we want to, skip out on, going to see my friends or hanging out with them for the day, uh, and I need to get my cuts in because
Yeah.
you've got to constantly work at this game because baseball, you know, as players, you can take this is another good quote. You can take a baseball player and you can put him in any sport and he will at least be a little successful.
Yeah.
But you can't take, a football player and put him in baseball without zero training. Baseball is the hardest sport. I'm a big believer in that. Now, I am short, so I'm not good at basketball other than that. So
Yeah. All right. Well, last, what's your best advice for coaches in their first year? Going back to yourself last year when you were starting out, what would be the best advice you would give to you?
best advice would definitely be like don't be like timid. Don't be timid. Have a backbone and ultimately like just have fun with it. Those are like the three takeaways I got. Don't be timid. Like if there's something you want to do, like my first year coaching, you graced me with an 8-year-old team, and that was, I had fun doing it, but I learned real fast. I never want to do coach pitch again. But that's a totally different beast. But other than that, don't be timid. So like your goal is to get the kids better. So like if you think 9 out of the 10 kids can be successful at this drill, let's go ahead and do it. Have a backbone. Touch on that one. I'm a people pleaser. I hate to admit it, but like I want to see and hear back from people that they like me. I don't want anybody to hate me. I hate that word, and I just said hate for hate. But anyways, but no, just like kind of like stood up for myself because in some instances things happen and like I let it boil over for a little too long, and eventually it was like kind of at least one or two scenarios were out of my hand. I felt like.
Yeah.
And then, third, have fun. As a coach with no kids, get out there, have fun with them. Be a part of the game again. And that's another thing as a coach I want to touch on for real quick. You know, if I'm if I'm making the kids run foul poles as a punishment, and I'm talking like I do old school foul poles. I know we've talked, and you said
Yeah.
go see the pole. I do from the yellow pole to the yellow pole in the outfield. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, I'll get out there and run with them. Um, to show them, hey, I got your back, or I believe in you. You need to believe in me now. And then, have fun. Yeah, I had fun with it. That's not really advice. I try to have fun wherever I go, but we did a lot of fun things. At one point, us parents, we had a I think we had a dad pitch into the kids, and us parents and coaches were just out in the field, and we did like this little mini game to where if the ball touched the grass and how many bases they collected would be a point.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird take on it's Panther ball kinda,
Yeah.
if you make sense. But that's what we did. We had a lot of fun doing it. So
Yeah. I got you. Thanks for being on with us.
yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Salty Sports Podcast. If you enjoyed this content, please consider following us on YouTube or Facebook at Salty Sports 501.
Until next time, stay salty, friends.